When large quantities of drugs are found, often they'll be destroyed at sea, especially if the Lidet unit or Coast Guard cutter is headed into a Central or South American port. This ensures the drugs don't end up right back into the stream of product, heading north.
If we're pulling into Panama and Colombia and Guatemala, there's really no safe place to get rid of the drugs and have no worry about them making it back into the stream to be shipped back over to the States. So we destroy them at sea instead of bringing them back into the U.S. and burning them, which is probably the safer method. Our major concern when we're doing a drug destruction at sea is the safety of our personnel. So we'll dress them out in rubberized suits. They'll have, very thick rubber gloves on, eye goggles, head protection, and they will actually dilute if it's cocaine, they'll dilute it to a level that is not going to harm anything, and they dump it back in the ocean.
Dockside boardings are common, especially in Miami, where coastal freighters travel up the Miami River, many filled with illegal cargo. Dockside efforts allow the boarding team to conduct more thorough searches in calmer water, but it's still a dirty job, taking the team into dark and dirty areas of suspicious vessels. Often the dockside team has help from U.S. Customs and one of the Coast Guard drug dogs.
When he alerts, he just sits down and he'll put his nose where he thinks the odor's coming from. So that's how you know when he's alerting. A lot of times there'll be so much odor or there'll be so much wind in an area that they don't sit down, but you'll get a lot of head turns, a lot of head throws, and that's an alert to us as the handler because we know our dogs. But they just can't pinpoint the exact source where it's at, so then that would just give us a good guideline where we want to search. Alex, hey, come here, what's this? What's this?
While some search efforts come up empty, many others are successful, like the one conducted by the Lidet unit on board the Navy cruiser the USS Wadsworth. On a counter-narcotics patrol 780 miles off the Peruvian coast, the Wadsworth crew encountered the Nataly I, a Panamanian-flagged fishing vessel. While the master claimed that he was on a fishing expedition, there were no fish on board and not enough ice to preserve fish or bait. Based on previously gathered intelligence from several agencies, the Wadsworth Lidet unit is directed by the Coast Guard Command to place the Nataly I under surveillance. They are ordered to track the vessel until the Navy cruiser, the USS Cape St. George, with the Gulf area Lidet team on board, can reach their location. Once the cruiser is on scene, the boarding effort begins.
The boarding took about 4 days. It was a very difficult and extensive search to find the contraband. They kept finding a lot of different clues to say that there was contraband on board. What actually led to them finding it was a fuel tank that they could not access. It was a legitimate fuel tank, but they couldn't access it.
The crew drains the fuel tank, which takes over a day. Then they look inside the tank and discover what appears to be a hidden compartment.
When they looked into and saw that the baffles had been sealed over and saw some of the bad welding marks and cut marks inside the fuel tanks, they knew that something had to be wrong. They found an access plate that was bolted to the side of this tank.
The boarding team puts on special equipment to protect themselves from the hazardous material inside the tank. The team then enters the fuel tank and removes the access plate. The area inside is completely filled with bundles of cocaine. The crew is arrested, transported first to the Coast Guard vessel and then to the Navy ship. The Nataly I is then towed to San Diego.
When they got to San Diego, they completed a destructive search of the Nataly. They cut all the tanks apart, looking for more and more contraband. And the drugs were just taken out through the sides of the boat at that point.
Hailed at the time as the largest maritime seizure of cocaine ever made by U.S. authorities, Over 12 tons of cocaine were prevented from hitting U.S. streets.
The street value for the first sale right when it hit the U.S. was over $100 million. After it had been cut and actually sold on the street, they were looking at over $700 million.
The 10 crew members of the Nataly I are found guilty and receive prison terms ranging from 9 to 25 years. Ironically, the Coast Guard had boarded the Nataly I previously, fairly certain that the vessel was carrying drugs. All other search efforts, however, had come up empty.
There's more money on their end, to be frank with you, and as long as there's enough people willing to buy it in this country, they're going to have the technology to hide it better, and they're going to make our jobs more difficult.
The Coast Guard is just one member of the team of law enforcement agencies charged with this difficult battle, fighting and stopping illegal activities threatening U.S. borders. Working with U.S. Customs, the DEA, INS, and the governments of other countries, they find themselves in unpredictable and often dangerous situations in order to do their jobs as high seas cops.